Good morning, everyone. Buenos dias a todos. My name is Lori Reese. I'm the children's librarian at the Felipe de Neve branch of Los Angeles Public Library, and I welcome you to this Dia celebration featuring storyteller Karen Golden. Culminating annually on April 30th, El Día de los Niños, El Día de los Libros is a nationally recognized initiative that emphasizes the importance of literacy for children from all backgrounds. With our commitment to connecting children and families to diverse books, languages, and cultures, DIA programming here at LAPL takes place throughout the month of April. We conclude this year's DIA programming with stories told from around the world told by Karen Golden. Karen is a storyteller, musician, and award-winning recording artist. She has traveled to faraway places to tell stories in person, and since the pandemic, has zoomed to even more faraway places to tell stories virtually. Karen and I have known one another for many years, but the day we became friends was the day my library smelled like latkes. On that cold and cloudy December day, I was sitting at the reference desk when Karen came into my library. She said she couldn't stay long. She was on her way home to make potato latkes. Now, a potato latke is like a potato pancake. You grate some potatoes, you grate some onions, you bind them together with some eggs or maybe some matzo meal, fry everything in oil, and serve them with sour cream or with applesauce, which to a latke is the icing on the cake. Latkes are traditionally prepared during Hanukkah, and Karen was on her way home to make some potato latkes for her family in celebration. I've never had a potato latke, I said. You've never had a potato latke? Karen asked. Never, I replied. Karen was shocked. She was stunned. She went home to make potato latkes. She grated and she mixed, she flattened and she fried. She flattened and she fried. A few hours later, Karen came back to my library with a plate full of fresh from the frying pan potato latkes and a bowl of applesauce, which to a latke is the icing on the cake. The smell of latkes, oil, and applesauce filled the air of the entire library. It was a warm smell. It was a wonderful smell. It was a smell that would have cured even the stuffiest of noses. I remember that day so fondly because it was the day I tasted my first potato latke. It was the day Karen and I became friends. It was the day my library smelled like latkes. I'm so very happy Karen Golden is with us today. Please join me in welcoming Karen Golden.
Thank you, Lori, for that wonderful story. I forgot about that day, and you have rekindled that memory and the smell. And
I'm telling you
glad that the applesauce is like the icing on the cake for a latke. Thank you. I am so delighted to be here today to tell you stories that come from my Jewish heritage. So I'm going to start by telling you a story that comes from the land of Israel. And to get us started, I'm going to play a little melody called a debka, which is a dance. It's danced by people in Israel and actually people all over the Middle East. So this will get us started in our story journey. A long time ago in the land of Israel, there were two brothers, Jacob and Isaac. Jacob and Isaac loved to play together. They loved to jump. And if you'd like to jump with me right now, even though I can't see you, I can feel you jumping. They would jump and jump and jump, and they would swing and go on the seesaw. They loved playing with each other. They had many things in common. And when they grew up, they both decided to become farmers. And they went out into their fields and they plowed the land. And you can do this along with me if you like. And they planted the seeds. And then they watched the seeds grow. Now, Jacob lived in a house over here, and Isaac lived in a house over here. One year, there was a wonderful rainstorm. Now, I'm going to need your help in this rainstorm. You're going to make the look of the rain, and I'm going to make the sound of the rain. So I'm going to bring up, first of all, the thunder, and then here we have the rain. Here we go. You ready? And it rains, and it rains. And the wheat began to grow. And now I'd like for you to take out your fingers like this. We're going to make the wheat grow, and we're going to sing this song. The sun and the wind and the rain are on my side. This harvest reaches high to the sky. This harvest brings me a lot of pride. Thank you, God, for being on my side. Now, one thing the brothers did not have in common is that Jacob lived in this house over here all by himself. And Isaac lived in this house over here. Let me open the door and put him in. He lived with his wife and his 3 children. When the wheat grew so tall, soon it was time to harvest that wheat. And the 2 brothers went out into their fields and they harvested the wheat. That means they picked the wheat. Do you know what we can make out of wheat? That's right. We can make bread, crackers, cookies, pasta, lots of yummy things. And after the brothers harvested the wheat, they began to take the wheat back to their storerooms. But each of them got an idea. Jacob said, I'm going to bring some wheat to my brother. And Isaac said, I'm going to bring some wheat to my brother. My brother lives with his wife and 3 children. He could use some extra wheat. My brother lives alone. He has no one to help him. In the middle of the night, each of the brothers put some wheat in a wheelbarrow and they headed toward each other's house. All of a sudden, they looked out. They saw a shadow coming in the distance. Who is that coming in the distance? Who is that coming in the distance? As they got closer and closer, they recognized each other. Brother, is that you? Brother, is that you? Yes! The 2 brothers, they kissed each other and they hugged each other. That's so kind of you to bring me wheat. That's so kind of you to bring me wheat. They were so excited. They jumped with joy. Oh, you better come down. They say that the place where those 2 brothers hugged and kissed was the greatest place of peace. They say that that place became the heart of the city of Jerusalem. In Hebrew, the word for Jerusalem is Yerushalayim, which means ear, city, shalom, of peace, the city of peace. The sun and the wind and the rain are on my side. This harvest reaches high to the sky. This harvest brings me a lot of pride. Thank you, God, for being on my side. Yay! That was so much fun sharing the story of the 2 brothers with you. I'd like to tell you about my instruments that I played for the first story. This instrument comes from Argentina, and this instrument comes from Peru. These are seeds that make the wonderful rain sound. And believe it or not, this instrument is made out of a kind of squash called a gourd. And when it rains a lot, well, the gourds and the seeds grow very well. So this instrument is made out of a gourd, and I have another instrument made out of a gourd. They're actually made out of the same gourd, but they sound very different. This instrument comes from Argentina, and this instrument, called a halusi, comes from China. Now, listen to the difference in these instruments. So this is the halusi, and if you'd like, you can move around with me, because whenever I play the halusi, it makes me want to move. Two instruments that come when it rains a lot. I know here in Southern California, we need a lot of rain right now, so maybe we can think about praying for rain as well. So the Jewish people lived in Israel a long time ago, and then they left to go to Egypt. And during the Jewish holiday of Passover, we tell the story of how the Jews went from the land of Egypt back to the land of Israel. I'd like to tell you my version of part of that Passover story. When the people were ready to go back to the land of Israel, they looked out over the desert. They knew it would take them a long time, and so they all lined up in order to make the journey. First, there were the mommies and the daddies, and then there were the children, and then there were the sheep and the goats and the chickens. And as they were walking out of the desert, they were singing this song. We're going out, out, out of Egypt, out, out, out of Egypt, out, out, out of Egypt, out of Egypt right now. Please join me, out, out, out of Egypt, out, out, out of Egypt, out, out, out of Egypt, out of Egypt right now. Wait! Who said that? Me, Daddy! Everybody stopped. Now, I forgot to mention that at the very head of the line was their leader, Moses. He called out, Donnie, why did you tell us to stop? And Donnie said, I have to go to the bathroom. I have to go to the bathroom. I have to go to the bathroom. I have to go right now. Why didn't you go before we left? I didn't have to. Well, all the mommies and daddies stopped, and all the children and the sheep and the goats and the chickens, they stopped for Donnie to go to the bathroom. And then Moses called out, make sure you wipe. Okay, I'm ready. We're going out, out, out of Egypt, out, out, out of Egypt, out, out, out of Egypt. Wait! Who said that? Hey, who just said wait? It's me, Donnie's sister, Sarah. Why did you say wait? I have to go to the bathroom. I have to go to the bathroom. Can you believe it? I have to go to the bathroom. I have to go right now. Why didn't you go when your brother went? I didn't have to go then. Moses stopped, and all the mommies and the daddies and the children, and you can say it along with me, and the sheep and the goats and the chickens. Make sure you wipe. Okay, I'm ready. All right, here we go. I'm going out, out, out of Egypt, out, out, out of Egypt. Wait! Stop! Who said that? It's me. It's me. It's Sarah and Donnie's dad. Why are we stopping? I have to go to the bathroom. I have to go to the bathroom. Why didn't you go when we stopped before? I didn't have to go. All right. All the mommies and daddies stopped. And do you want to join with me? I think you know the order now. And that's right, the children and the sheep and the goats and the chickens. I don't need to remind you to ripe. That's right. I'm ready. Okay, we're going out, out of Egypt, out of Egypt, out of Egypt, out of Egypt right now. The dads, out of Egypt. Moms, out of Egypt. Children, out of Egypt. Goats and sheep, ba, ba, ba. Oh, cluck, 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 out of Egypt right now. Stop! Does someone else have to go to the bathroom? Well, on that first day out of Egypt, so many people had to go to the bathroom that at night, all the people who were on kitchen duty getting ready to make the bread, they didn't have time to let the bread rise. And so the bread ended up being flat like a cracker. And the people said, Maza. Maza in Hebrew means, what is this? And the cooks that night, they said, Maza, Maza. They decided to call it Maza, matzah. That's right. That's how they came up with the word matzah, from maza. What is it? And the next day they went on their journey. Well, it took 40 years to get out of the desert into the land of Israel, into the land of freedom. And now you know why. Because so many people had to go to the bathroom. But they finally made it. And that is the story of how and why it took so long. We're going out of Egypt, out of Egypt, out of Egypt, ba, ba, ba. Oh, cluck, 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 out of Egypt, out of Egypt, out of Egypt right now. Well, that was a lot of fun. So I'd like to show you a couple of other musical instruments that I brought with me today. So how many of you play a musical instrument? You can raise your hand. I may not be able to see you, but I can feel all of you raising your hand right now. I'd like to show you a really fun musical instrument that I love playing. This instrument is called a nose flute. That's right. I'm going to play it with my nose. And here is a very traditional Jewish song. See if you recognize it. Tovu manayim shevet achim gam yachad. How wonderful and beautiful it is that we should be able to sit together. So our Jewish holidays celebrate lots and lots of different things, but there's one fruit that is used to celebrate quite a few Jewish holidays, and that is the apple. Apples are used during Rosh Hashanah. They are dipped into honey. We love eating apples and honey. And apples are also used in a mixture that we have for Passover called haroset. It's a mixture of apples and walnuts and honey and grape juice. It is absolutely delicious. We chop the apples together. So apples are a big deal during Jewish holidays. So I'd like to share with you a story now about a little apple tree. It's a story that we frequently tell during Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year. It goes like this. Long ago, deep in the forest, there was a little apple tree that grew next to an oak tree. Now, usually apple trees don't grow in a forest, so it was a bit unusual that the apple tree was next to the oak tree. If you'd like, you can take out both of your hands. One is a little apple tree, and the other is the oak tree. The little apple tree looked up in the sky at night, and the little apple tree saw the sun go down and the moon rose high. And the little apple tree saw the shiny stars twinkling, and the little apple tree thought those stars were hanging in the branches of the oak tree. So the little apple tree said, oak tree, I wish I had stars in my branches." "You do have stars in your branches," said the oak tree. The little apple tree continued to grow, and one day the little apple tree was covered with flowers. Oh, those flowers were so beautiful, and you would think the apple tree would be happy, but at night when the sun went down and the moon rose high, the little apple tree looked up and saw the stars twinkling. The little apple tree thought those stars were in the oak tree. Oak tree, I wish I had stars in my branches." "You do have stars in your branches." Each of those flowers turned into, that's right, a little apple. And the apples got bigger and bigger and bigger and more juicy. And one day the children came into the forest to pick those apples to make them into apples and honey for Rosh Hashanah. And maybe they would save some of those apples to make it into haroset for Passover. They'd have to save them for kind of a long time because there's a few months between Rosh Hashanah and Passover, but that's okay. Maybe they had a really good cooler. And the children were picking up those apples, and you would think the little apple tree would be happy, but at night, when the sun went down and the moon rose high, the little apple tree looked up at the oak tree and said, oak tree, I wish I had stars inside." "You do have stars inside." The very next day, there was a big, huge windstorm, and the wind began to blow and blow and blow. And when the wind began to blow, a single apple fell from the apple tree, and the apple fell down, 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 down. And when the apple tree landed on the ground, it fell on top of a very sharp rock. And the little apple tree looked down, and do you see what I see? There are stars inside. Do you see the stars? The little apple tree looked up and said, "There are stars inside." "That's what I was trying to tell you," said the oak tree. "You do have stars inside." Now, if your mommy or your daddy are close by and you have an apple, you can cut it in half and you can see the star inside, but you have to cut the apple in the middle, like where a belt might be if the apple were wearing a belt, because if you cut the apple the other way, you won't find the star inside the apple. During Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, Jewish New Year, we have a chance to look at people in a new way. And when we look at every person, we can see that everyone has a star inside of them. Sometimes we see people the same way, kind of like the way you always cut an apple the same, you won't find a star inside. But if you cut an apple the right way, and if you look at people the right way, with an open heart, you will see that everyone has a star inside. So I'd like to share with you one final story. I've had so much fun sharing stories with you today. And my last story celebrates a Jewish holiday that we have every week. Can you believe it? We have a holiday every Friday. Wait a second. Today is Friday. And tonight I will be celebrating the Jewish holiday of the Sabbath, or we call it Shabbat. And this is a story about Shabbat. And it goes like this. Moishe loved Fridays because every Friday he went to the market to buy four things. He bought a nice fresh challah bread, a couple of candles, a bottle of wine, and a jar of grape juice for his children. Now, one Friday, he was just walking out of the market when he heard this sound. And this is my saxophone. There on the street was a woman playing the saxophone. He could hardly believe it. He turned to her and he said, "Wow, what a wonderful melody." Now in Yiddish, we call that a niggin. Can you say that word niggin? This story comes from Eastern Europe, where my parents came from. They spoke Yiddish and they would call it a niggin. In Israel today, we call a song with no words a nigun. Same kind of word, niggin and nigun. I love your niggin. Will you teach it to me? You know, I'd like to, she said, but I make my living doing this, playing music on the street. Can you give me a little something? He opened up his bag. Could everyone open your imaginary bag right now? And he took out the nice, fresh challah bread. Would you like a challah? I'd love a challah bread. Thank you. He gave her the challah and she gave him the niggin. He headed for home singing that niggin like this. La 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 la. But as he was walking, suddenly his voice started to change. He was singing in his shower voice. La 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 la. If you'd like to sing in your shower voice right now, you can. La 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 la. He wasn't watching where he was going, and all of a sudden, la la la. He didn't notice there was a root sticking out of the ground. La 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 la. He fell over the root, and when he stood up, he sang la la. He lost the niggin, so he went back to the market, and there she was. I'm so sorry. I don't mean to disturb you, but I lost the niggin. I'm so sorry. Wait. Open up your bag. Can you take out the 2 candles? Would you like some candles? I can already see the glow in my house. Oh, I love having the candles because when I look into the glow and I cover my eyes, I can see the Sabbath queen. I'll take those candles. And she did. He gave her the candles and she gave him the niggin. He started heading for home, singing that niggin, and I'd love it if you'd join me. La 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 la. But as he was walking, his voice began to change. That's right, he was singing in his shower voice. La 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 la. He wasn't watching where he was going, and there was a low-hanging branch of a tree, and he didn't notice it. La 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 la. Knocked the niggin right out of him. La, la, la. He lost the niggin. He went back to the market, and there she was. I'm so sorry. I lost the nigget. Wait. Open up your bag. Let's take out the bottle of wine and the jar of grape juice. Wine. Oh, you think of everything in grape juice for my children. You've got yourself a deal. He gave her the wine and the grape juice, and she gave him the niggin, and he sang it all the way home like this. Lie, lie, la, la, lie, la, 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 lie, la, lie, la, la, lie, la, la, lie, la, 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 lie, la, lie. When he got home, he saw his wife, Sarah. She was standing on the front porch, and she said, Moisha, did you get the things I told you to get at the market? Oh, those things. You mean the challah bread, the candles, the bottle of wine, and the jar of grape juice? Yeah, Moish. You get those things every Friday, every Shabbat. Did you buy those things? Well, I did, but I traded them in for something even better. Wait till you hear this niggin. And he sang her the niggin. She liked it. Not only did she like it, she loved it. And she started singing that niggin, la, 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 la. She sang it to their children, la, 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 la. She sang it to their dog, woo, 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 woo. To their kitty cat, meow, 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 meow. And the following Monday, the children went to school and they sang it on the bus. Everyone was singing la 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 la. And when the children got to school, they sang it to their teachers, and the teachers sang it to their classmates, and the teachers got into their cars on the way home from school and they started singing that niggin. And as they were singing, they were driving on the streets and on the freeways. They were on the 405 and the 101 and the 1. And as they were singing, they were shouting it outside the window. And some of those people decided to take public transportation because there was so much traffic, and they were singing on buses and trains and on the metro, and they got onto airplanes and they started flying the niggin all over the world, and they flew to North America and South America and Africa and Asia and Israel and the North Pole and the South Pole and up to the moon. And the next Sabbath, instead of celebrating with, can you say it with me, a challah bread, a couple of candles, a bottle of wine, and a jar of grape juice, the entire universe celebrated with lie, lie, la, la, lie, la, 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 lie, la, la. Lie, la, la, lie, la, 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 lie. Well, I want to thank you for listening today and for sharing my Jewish heritage with me. This was so much fun. And since today is Friday, good Shabbos. I hope your Shabbos is filled with peace, joy, and blessings.
Oh, Karen, thank you so much for sharing your stories this morning. You know, I'm fond of singing in my shower voice, you know, and often not even in the shower, right here in the car, you know. So thank you so very much. And thank our audience for joining us this morning, the Library Foundation for providing this program today. And to our audience, please visit your local branch library. All of us are gearing up for for a return of in-person summer reading. We are open and are very, very eager to see children and families once again. And you know, Karen, I think stories do sustain us, don't they? They fill our souls. And when you share your stories, you're sharing your memories. You know, you may have a memory of tasting your first ice cream cone, hearing a saxophone for the first time. And these memories are with us every day. Our stories make us who we are. So one and all, thank you so much. And Karen, thank you again.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you so much to the Los Angeles Public Library.
Bye-bye.